Captain Sarah Chen stared at the message on her screen for the third time in 10 minutes. The words hadn't changed, but she still couldn't believe what she was reading. After 50 years of watching from the shadows, the Galactic Council was finally inviting humanity to join them. The message was simple and formal. Species designation, human. Planet designation, Earth. You are requested to attend Council membership evaluation. Send one representative to Station Prime 7 in 30 Earth days. Sarah leaned back in her chair aboard the space station New Horizon. As Earth's top diplomatic officer and experienced space captain, she had been chosen to represent all of humanity. The weight of that responsibility felt heavier than the gravity on Jupiter's moons. For decades, strange ships had appeared near Earth's solar system. They watched human space missions, observed Earth's broadcasts, and then disappeared without making contact. Scientists and governments knew alien life existed, but the aliens seemed uninterested in talking to humans. Everything changed when Dr. Martinez perfected faster-than-light travel 6 months ago. The first test flight to Alpha Centauri had barely begun when 3 alien ships appeared. Instead of running away like before, they followed the human ship back to Earth. A week later, the invitation arrived. Sarah walked to the observation deck of the station. Earth hung in the darkness below, blue and white and beautiful. She had spent most of her life in space, but Earth still took her breath away. The planet looked so peaceful from up here. No one could see the billions of people going about their daily lives, unaware that their future among the stars was about to be decided. Her communicator buzzed. Captain Chen, your ship is ready for departure. The Endeavour was humanity's most advanced spacecraft. It had been built specifically for this mission, combining the new faster-than-light drive with Earth's best technology. The ship carried gifts for the aliens: art, music, literature, and examples of human engineering. Sarah hoped it would be enough to impress beings who had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. The crew was small but experienced. Commander Park would pilot the ship, Dr. Williams would handle scientific analysis, and Specialist Rodriguez would manage communications and translation. Sarah trusted them completely. But she knew the real success or failure of this mission would depend on her ability to convince the Galactic Council that humanity deserved a place among the stars. The flight to Station Prime 7 took 12 days, even with the new drive. Sarah spent most of that time studying everything humans knew about the alien species they might encounter. The information was limited, gathered mostly from long-distance observations and intercepted communications. The Galactic Council consisted of 12 major species. Each one had evolved differently, developing unique technologies and cultures. Some were based on silicon instead of carbon. Others existed as pure energy or lived in gas clouds. The diversity was amazing and terrifying at the same time. Station Prime 7 appeared on their screens as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The structure was massive, easily the size of Earth's moon. It orbited a neutron star, using the intense gravity and radiation as a power source. The station's design was unlike anything humans had ever built, with flowing curves and crystal formations that seemed to grow rather than be constructed. Incoming transmission, Rodriguez announced. Audio only in English. Human vessel, you are cleared for docking bay 77. Follow the guidance beacons and maintain current speed. Welcome to Station Prime 7. The voice was clearly artificial, but it spoke perfect English with no accent. Sarah wondered how long the aliens had been listening to Earth's broadcast to learn human languages so well. The docking bay was enormous, designed to accommodate ships of many different sizes and shapes. Strange vessels filled the available spaces, each one representing a different species and technology. Some ships looked like living creatures, while others were geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly. As the Endeavour settled into its assigned space, Sarah felt her heart rate increase. This was it. Everything humanity had worked toward for thousands of years came down to the next few days. Either they would join the galactic community as equals, or they would return to Earth as a rejected species, forever watching the stars from the outside. The airlock cycled and Sarah stepped into Station Prime 7 for the first time. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth normal, and the air smelled of ozone and something she couldn't identify. The corridor stretched ahead, its walls made of a material that seemed to shift color as she walked. A figure approached from the far end of the corridor. It was humanoid in shape but clearly alien. Its skin was translucent crystal, and light moved through its body in patterns that might have been thoughts or emotions. When it spoke, its voice resonated like wind chimes. Captain Chen, I am Zektar of the Vexhai Empire. I have been assigned as your liaison during your stay. We have prepared quarters for you and your crew. Tomorrow you will present humanity's case to the full council." Sarah extended her hand in greeting, then hesitated, unsure if the gesture would be understood or appropriate. Zektar studied her hand for a moment, then carefully extended its own crystalline appendage. The touch was cold but not unpleasant. "Thank you for your hospitality," Sarah said. "My crew and I are honored to be here." "The honor is shared," Zektar replied. "It has been many cycles since a new species petitioned for membership. Your kind has shown remarkable progress in a very short time." As they walked through the station's corridors, Sarah saw her first glimpses of true alien diversity. Beings floated past in environment suits filled with gas. Others moved on multiple legs or tentacles. Some appeared to be made of living metal, while others seemed to exist as organized clouds of particles. Despite their differences, all the aliens she saw moved with purpose and intelligence. This was clearly an advanced civilization, one that had solved problems humans were still struggling with. The technology around her was beyond Earth's capabilities, but it was used so naturally that it seemed like magic. "Tell me about the evaluation process," Sarah asked as they walked. "Each species must demonstrate their value to the council," Zektar explained. "We are interested in what humans can contribute to our community. Technology resources, military capability, cultural insights. The council seeks diversity of thought and capability." Sarah nodded, but she felt a growing concern. Earth's technology was primitive compared to what she was seeing. Human military forces would be insignificant against species that had been fighting interstellar wars for millennia. What could humanity possibly offer that these advanced beings would find valuable? Their quarters were comfortable but clearly designed for a variety of species. The furniture could be adjusted for different body types, and the environmental controls offered dozens of atmospheric options. Sarah's crew settled in quickly, but she could see the same concern in their eyes that she felt herself. That night, as she lay in an alien bed breathing recycled air light years from Earth, Sarah reviewed humanity's presentation one more time. Tomorrow she would stand before the most powerful beings in the galaxy and try to convince them that humans belonged among the stars. She closed her eyes and thought of Earth, with its blue oceans and green continents and billions of people who were counting on her to succeed. Whatever happened tomorrow, she would give humanity's case everything she had. The future of the human race depended on it. The council chamber was unlike anything Sarah had ever imagined. The room was spherical with no clear floor or ceiling. Different sections of the curved walls supported various alien species, each in their preferred environment. Some areas were filled with gas, others with liquid, and some existed in vacuum with only force fields containing the occupants. Sarah stood on a small platform in the center of the sphere, surrounded by the 12 most powerful species in the galaxy. Each representative was so different from the others that it was hard to believe they were all intelligent life forms. Chairman Vorthak dominated one section of the chamber. The insectoid being stood nearly 4 meters tall with multiple arms and eyes that moved independently. Its voice buzzed and clicked through the translation system when it spoke. "Human Representative Sarah Chen, you may begin your presentation." Sarah activated the holographic display she had prepared. Images of Earth appeared around her, showing the planet's cities, technology, and people. She had practiced this presentation hundreds of times, but standing here in front of these alien beings made her throat feel dry. "Honored council members, I come before you representing the species known as humans from the planet Earth. We are a young species, having achieved spaceflight only recently, but we have much to offer the galactic community." The first section of her presentation focused on human technology. She showed them Earth's computers, medical advances, and engineering achievements. The holographic images displayed human cities, spacecraft, and scientific instruments. A metallic voice interrupted from one section of the chamber. "Your computational systems are primitive. We achieved quantum consciousness integration 7,000 years ago. What you call artificial intelligence, we consider basic mathematics." The speaker was part of the Synthetic Collective, a machine intelligence that had long ago transcended biological limitations. Sarah had expected this criticism and moved to her next point. "While our technology may be young, humans excel at creative problem-solving and adaptation. We have survived and thrived in diverse environments across our planet." She showed images of humans living in deserts, Arctic regions, underwater bases, and space stations, The presentation continued with examples of human art, music, and literature. A telepathic species called the psionics responded through the translation system. Your mental capabilities are limited to chemical neural networks. True intelligence requires quantum consciousness manipulation. Your thoughts are slow and inefficient. Sarah felt frustration building but kept her voice steady. Human diversity of thought leads to innovative solutions. Our different cultures and perspectives allow us to approach problems from multiple angles. She displayed examples of human cooperation, international space projects, medical research sharing, and disaster relief efforts. The images showed humans working together despite their differences. The next criticism came from the HFY War clans. Their representative was a heavily armored being with obvious combat modifications. Your species lacks physical prowess. Your bodies are weak, your senses limited. In galactic conflicts, humans would be casualties, not contributors. Sarah had prepared for this as well. She showed human military tactics, emphasizing strategy over brute force. The presentation included examples of human endurance, adaptability, and technological force multiplication. But as the questions continued, Sarah began to realize how outmatched humanity really was. Every achievement she presented was met with dismissal or indifference. Technologies that Earth considered cutting-edge were described as primitive or outdated. The energy-based Luminar civilization criticized human understanding of physics. The hive-mind swarm nexus found human individualism inefficient. The aquatic depth seekers considered human space travel crude and dangerous. Zektar, her liaison, asked a question that seemed more helpful. What resources does your planet possess that might benefit the Council? Sarah brightened at this opportunity. Earth has abundant mineral resources. We have discovered significant deposits of rare metals, including platinum, gold, and various radioactive elements. Our planet also has extensive biological diversity. The crystal being's light patterns shifted in what might have been disappointment. Mineral resources are common throughout the galaxy. Biological diversity, while interesting, has limited practical application for most Council species. As the hours passed, Sarah felt her confidence eroding. Every aspect of humanity that she had thought would impress the Council was dismissed as ordinary or inferior. Earth's resources were common, human technology was primitive, and human capabilities were limited. The questioning turned to military potential. Commander Thexvor of the HFY War clans pressed for specific details about human combat capabilities. "Show us your most advanced weapons," the alien warrior demanded. Sarah reluctantly displayed images of human military technology. Nuclear weapons, advanced aircraft, and space-based defense systems appeared in the holographic display. The response was immediate and devastating. Multiple Council members began speaking at once, their voices overlapping through the translation system. Chemical explosion weapons? We abandoned such crude methods millennia ago. Atmospheric flight vehicles? We have personal transportation more advanced than your best military craft. Their most powerful weapons could not damage our simplest defensive barriers. Chairman Vorthak raised multiple arms for silence. Human representative, we appreciate your presentation, but we must be frank. Your species appears to offer little that would benefit the Galactic Council. Sarah felt her heart sink. She had known this might happen, but facing the reality was different from preparing for it. The future of humanity among the stars was slipping away with each dismissive comment. However, the chairman continued, the Council recognizes potential in young species. We will deliberate on your petition. You may return to your quarters while we discuss humanity's application. The platform Sarah stood on began to move, carrying her toward an exit. As she left the chamber, she could hear the Council members beginning their debate. Even through the translation system, their tone was not encouraging. Back in her quarters, Sarah's crew gathered around her. Their faces showed the same disappointment she felt. "How did it go?" Commander Park asked, though her expression suggested she already knew the answer. "Not well," Sarah admitted. "They're more advanced than we imagined. Everything we thought would impress them is considered primitive or worthless." Dr. Williams looked at the datapad she had been taking notes on. "Did they give any indication of what they're looking for?" "Resources, technology, military capability," Sarah said. "Things that would benefit their existing civilization. We don't have anything they need." Specialist Rodriguez was monitoring communication channels. "I'm picking up fragments of their deliberation. The translation software is having trouble with some of the languages, but the general tone seems negative." Sarah walked to the window that looked out over the station's vast interior. Alien ships and beings moved through the space with casual efficiency. This was their normal life, traveling between stars and managing galactic affairs. Humanity wasn't part of this community, and after today's presentation, it looked like they never would be. The waiting was almost worse than the presentation itself. Hours passed with no word from the council. Sarah tried to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Earth was counting on her and she was failing. As night cycle approached on the station, Zektar visited their quarters. The crystal being's light patterns were dim, which Sarah had learned indicated concern or sadness. The deliberation continues, Zektar said. The council is divided. Some members see potential in your species, while others question what humanity could contribute. What happens if they reject our application? Sarah asked. Your species would be classified as developing. The council would maintain minimal contact and monitor your progress. Future applications would be possible, but not for several of your generations. Sarah nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. Decades or centuries before humanity could try again. By then, Earth might have developed the technologies and capabilities the council wanted, but it would be too late for everyone alive today. Is there anything else we could present? She asked. Any other way to show our value? Zektar's light patterns shifted thoughtfully. The council values uniqueness above all else. Each member species contributes something no other can provide. If humanity possesses such a unique quality, that would change everything. As her alien liaison left, Sarah wondered what that unique quality could possibly be. What did humans have that no other species in the galaxy possessed? The answer would come sooner than she expected. Sarah couldn't sleep after the failed presentation. She decided to explore the station during the night cycle, hoping to clear her mind and maybe learn something that could help humanity's case. The corridors were quieter now, with fewer beings moving about, but the station never truly rested. She found herself in what appeared to be a social area, where different species gathered during their off-duty time. The space was divided into sections with different atmospheric conditions, but there were common areas where compatible species could interact. Near a viewing port that looked out at the neutron star, Sarah encountered a group of beings from various species. They were engaged in what seemed like casual conversation, though the translation system made it sound formal and technical. A Vexi engineer named Kethnal approached her. Unlike Zektar, this crystal being's light patterns were rapid and bright, indicating excitement or curiosity. You are the human representative, Kethnal said. We have been discussing your species. Your presentation was interesting. Interesting is one way to put it, Sarah replied with a weak smile. Though I think inadequate might be more accurate. Do not judge your worth by council standards alone, said another voice. Sarah turned to see a depth seeker, its aquatic form contained in a mobile environment suit filled with murky liquid. Each species brings unique perspectives. The conversation that followed was unlike any Sarah had experienced since arriving at the station. Instead of formal evaluations and dismissive comments, these beings seemed genuinely curious about humanity. They asked about Earth's cultures, human emotions, and how humans solved problems. Your species fascinates us, admitted a representative from the Swarm Nexus hive mind. Individual consciousness creating collective solutions is unusual. As they talked, Sarah noticed something odd. Several of the aliens excused themselves periodically to visit what looked like dispensing stations around the social area. When they returned, they carried containers of various liquids or absorbed substances that seemed to refresh them. What are those stations? Sarah asked during a lull in the conversation. Hydration dispensers, Kethnal replied. Each species requires different moisture supplements to maintain biological function. Sarah watched as the depth seeker approached one of the stations. The device scanned the alien's environment suit and dispensed a thick blue liquid that was immediately absorbed into the suit's filtration system. You must have similar needs, the Swarm Nexus representative said to Sarah. How do you maintain hydration during long space travel? I just drink water, Sarah said absently, still watching the dispenser's work. The conversation around her stopped abruptly. Every alien in the group turned to look at her with whatever served as their sensory organs. You drink what? Kethnal asked, the crystal being's light patterns shifting to confused orange hues. Water, Sarah repeated, suddenly aware that she had said something significant. H2O. 2 hydrogen atoms, 1 oxygen atom. It's a liquid. The silence that followed was uncomfortable. Sarah could feel the aliens exchanging looks or communications she couldn't understand. You speak of pure hydrogen-oxygen bonds in liquid form, the depth seeker said slowly. This is not possible for consumption by biological entities. But that's what all life on Earth drinks, Sarah explained, growing more confused by their reaction. Water makes up most of our bodies. We drink it, swim in it, use it for everything. The Swarm Nexus representative's multiple eyes focused on her with intense interest. Your planet contains significant quantities of this. Water? Our planet is mostly water, Sarah said. About 71% of Earth's surface is covered by oceans. We have lakes, rivers, and streams everywhere. It falls from the sky as rain. The effect of her words was immediate and dramatic. Kethanol's entire crystal body began flashing in rapid, chaotic patterns. The depth seeker's environment suit started making urgent beeping sounds. The Swarm Nexus representative began speaking rapidly in its own language. This is impossible, Kethanol said finally. Liquid H2O in such quantities would be toxic to organic life. Your species could not have evolved in such an environment. Sarah realized she had stumbled onto something important, but she wasn't sure what. Water isn't toxic to humans. It's essential. We die without it in a few days. Show us, the depth seeker demanded. Demonstrate this water consumption. Sarah reached into her personal kit and pulled out a standard earth water bottle. The clear plastic container was filled with what looked like ordinary water to her, but the aliens stared at it as if she were holding a dangerous explosive. This is pure liquid H2O? Kethanol asked, the crystal being backing away slightly. Yes, Sarah said, unscrewing the cap. Want to see me drink it? No, several aliens said at once. Do not consume poison to prove a point. But Sarah had already tilted the bottle to her lips and taken a long drink. The cool, refreshing liquid tasted wonderful after hours of breathing recycled station air. The reaction from the aliens was unprecedented. Several of them activated what appeared to be emergency communication devices. Others began backing away from Sarah as if she might explode at any moment. How are you not dead? The Swarm Nexus representative asked in apparent shock. It's just water, Sarah said, taking another sip to emphasize her point. Every human drinks several liters of this every day. Our entire civilization is built around access to clean water. Kethanol was communicating rapidly with someone through a crystal embedded in its form. The light patterns were so fast and bright that Sarah had to look away. I must return to my duties immediately, the Vex-High engineer said abruptly. This information must be verified and reported. One by one, the aliens made excuses and left the social area. Soon Sarah was alone with her water bottle, wondering what had just happened. When she returned to her quarters, she found her crew awake and agitated. Commander Park met her at the door. Where have you been? The station's communication arrays have been broadcasting non-stop for the last hour. Something big is happening. Dr. Williams looked up from her monitoring equipment. I'm detecting massive data transfers between the council chambers and various homeworlds. The traffic is enormous. And it all started right after you left. Specialist Rodriguez added. Whatever you did out there, it's got everyone's attention. Sarah held up her water bottle. I think I may have discovered what makes humanity unique. She explained what had happened in the social area, how the aliens had reacted to her casual mention of drinking water. As she talked, her crew's expressions changed from confusion to amazement. You're saying they don't have water? Commander Park asked. They have substitutes, artificial alternatives, complex chemical solutions, Sarah said. But pure liquid H2O seems to be unknown to them. Dr. Williams was already pulling up data on her tablet. If that's true, then Earth's water resources wouldn't just be valuable to them. They'd be beyond precious. Think about it, Sarah continued, her excitement growing. We've been looking at this all wrong. We assumed our technology and military capabilities would impress them. But what if the most valuable thing we have is something we take completely for granted? Specialist Rodriguez was monitoring communication channels again. Captain, I think you're right. I'm detecting fragments of translations that mention liquid H2O discovery and water world confirmation. This is definitely about what you told them. Sarah sat down, her mind racing with the implications. If water was truly as rare and valuable as the aliens' reactions suggested, then humanity wasn't a poor species begging for membership in the galactic community. They were potentially the richest species in the galaxy, But with that wealth came responsibility. Earth's water wasn't just valuable, it was life-sustaining for countless beings who had been struggling to survive on artificial substitutes for millennia. "We need to be very careful about how we handle this information," Sarah said to her crew. "If water is as important as I think it is, then tomorrow's council session is going to be very different from today's." As if summoned by her words, the door chimed. Sektar entered, but the crystal being's usual calm demeanor was replaced by urgent flashing light patterns. "Captain Chen, you must come with me immediately. The council has called an emergency session. They wish to discuss a matter of extreme importance regarding your species." Sarah looked at her water bottle one more time, then set it down carefully. Tomorrow she would return to the council chamber. But this time she wouldn't be begging for humanity's acceptance. This time she held the future of the galaxy in her hands. The emergency council session convened just 6 hours after Sarah's conversation in the social area. Unlike the formal presentation from the day before, this gathering had an energy of barely controlled chaos. The 12 council members were all present, but many of them were communicating simultaneously with their home worlds through quantum communication arrays. Sarah entered the chamber carrying her water bottle and the small emergency supply of water packets from the Endeavor. She had no idea what to expect. But the urgent summons suggested that her casual mention of drinking water had created more of a stir than she had imagined. Chairman Vorthak's multiple eyes focused on her as she took her position in the center of the sphere. The insectoid being's usual formal demeanor seemed strained, and its mandibles clicked rapidly as it spoke. "Captain Chen, before we proceed with our deliberation on humanity's membership application, the Council requires clarification on certain claims made by you during informal interactions with station personnel." Sarah nodded, trying to project confidence she didn't entirely feel. "I'm happy to answer any questions the Council might have." The crystal forms of several Vex High representatives began flashing in synchronized patterns. Sektar, who stood among them, seemed to be translating or interpreting for the others. "You claim to consume a substance you called water," the chairman continued. "This substance was described as pure liquid H2O. Please clarify this statement." "That's correct," Sarah said, holding up her water bottle so all the council members could see it. "This container holds water. Humans consume it regularly for hydration and biological function." A wave of communication swept through the chamber. The energy-based luminar beings flickered more rapidly, while the machine consciousnesses of the synthetic collective increased their data processing to audible levels. "The Council requires proof of this claim," announced Commander Thexivor of the Kethmori war clans. "Liquid H2O in consumable quantities is theoretical at best. No known biological entity can survive direct contact with pure water." Sarah unscrewed the cap of her water bottle. The simple action caused several council members to activate what appeared to be protective barriers around their environmental sections. "I understand your skepticism," Sarah said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems. "Perhaps a demonstration would be helpful." She tilted the bottle and took a long drink of water. The clear liquid disappeared as she swallowed, and she lowered the bottle with a satisfied expression. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Emergency alarms began sounding throughout the chamber as several species activated their crisis protocols. The Depth Seekers' aquatic environment turned murky as they released what might have been stress chemicals. The Swarm Nexus representatives began speaking in rapid, overlapping voices. "Impossible." The mechanical voice of the synthetic collective cut through the chaos. "Biological systems cannot process pure H2O without molecular breakdown." Sarah remained calm despite the commotion around her. "I can assure you that humans not only survive contact with water, but require it. Our bodies are approximately 60% water by mass." She pulled out several emergency water packets from her kit. These contain about half a liter each. A typical human drinks 2 to 3 liters per day, more during hot weather or physical activity. The mathematical calculations were clearly racing through the minds of every council member. The psionics telepathic collective spoke as one voice. "If your claims are accurate, a single human requires more pure H2O in one day than our entire civilization has accessed in the past century." "That sounds about right," Sarah agreed. "But individual consumption is just the beginning. Let me tell you about Earth's water resources." She activated her holographic display, but instead of showing human technology or military capabilities, She displayed images of Earth's oceans, lakes, and rivers. The vast blue expanses of water covering the planet's surface appeared around her in stunning detail. Earth's oceans contain approximately 1.37 billion cubic kilometers of water, Sarah said as the images rotated slowly. Our lakes and rivers add millions more. When it rains, trillions of liters of fresh water fall from the sky. The silence that followed was unlike anything Sarah had experienced. It was as if the entire station had stopped functioning for a moment. No communication arrays buzzed, no environmental systems hummed, no translation protocols chattered in the background. Finally, Chairman Vorthak spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. You are describing quantities of pure H2O that exceed the total liquid resources of the entire Galactic Council by factors of millions. And every human has free access to it, Sarah added. We use it for drinking, cooking, cleaning, agriculture, manufacturing, recreation. We swim in it for fun. The last statement seemed to break whatever mental barriers the council members had been maintaining. Representatives began speaking all at once, their voices creating a cacophony that overwhelmed the translation systems. Impossible resource abundance. Verification required immediately. Homeworld Command must be notified. Security protocols for Waterworld. Chairman Vorthak raised multiple arms for silence, but it took several minutes for the chamber to calm down. When order was finally restored, the insectoid being's voice carried a gravity that hadn't been present before. Captain Chen, if your claims can be verified, they represent a fundamental shift in galactic resource dynamics. Water scarcity has been the driving force behind every major conflict for the past 10,000 years. The Depth Seeker representative spoke from within its aquatic environment suit. Our species has fought 3 extinction wars over access to water-bearing comets. Entire civilizations have collapsed when their synthetic hydration systems failed. The Vexhai Empire's greatest technological achievement is our moisture reclamation arrays, Zektar added. They allow us to extract trace amounts of H2O from interstellar gas clouds. The process takes decades to produce what you claim to consume in a single day. Sarah was beginning to understand the magnitude of what she had revealed. I had no idea water was so scarce. On Earth, we worry about pollution and conservation, but we've never faced true scarcity. The machine consciousness of the synthetic collective spoke with what might have been emotion in its artificial voice. Our creators died out because their synthetic water substitutes could not sustain biological life indefinitely. We exist because they gave us immortality before their hydration systems failed. The energy-based luminar beings communicated through fluctuations in the chamber's lighting. The translation system rendered their meaning. Our species transcended physical form because we could no longer obtain sufficient water to maintain biological bodies. As the implications sank in, Sarah realized that humanity's relationship with the Galactic Council had just changed completely. They weren't supplicants begging for acceptance anymore. They were potentially the solution to the galaxy's greatest crisis. But the revelation also brought new responsibilities and dangers. If water was as valuable as these reactions suggested, Earth could become a target for desperate species or aggressive expansionist cultures. The Council requires immediate verification, Chairman Vorthak announced. We propose sending a joint scientific expedition to your homeworld. If your claims prove accurate, humanity's membership status will require significant reconsideration. Sarah nodded, but her mind was already racing ahead to the implications. I would welcome such an expedition, but I think we need to discuss not just membership, but how Earth's water resources can benefit all galactic species while protecting our planet's ecosystem. The chamber erupted in discussion again, but this time the tone was different. Instead of dismissive evaluation, the council members were engaged in urgent strategic planning. Homeworlds were being contacted, scientific teams were being assembled, and diplomatic protocols were being rewritten in real time. Sarah remained in the center of it all, holding her simple water bottle. In the span of a few hours, she had gone from representing a rejected species to potentially being the most important person in the galaxy. The water that Earth took for granted was about to change everything. As the session continued late into the station's night cycle, Sarah realized that humanity's future among the stars was no longer in question. The only remaining question was what that future would look like, and how responsibly they could manage the galaxy's most precious resource. The demonstration was over, but the real work was just beginning. 3 weeks after the water demonstration, Sarah stood in the same council chamber, but everything had changed. Where once she had faced skeptical alien beings evaluating humanity's worthiness, she now sat at a specially constructed diplomatic table surrounded by eager representatives proposing trade agreements, mutual defense pacts, and technological exchanges. The verification expedition to Earth had taken only 5 days. 12 different alien science teams had descended upon Earth's oceans, lakes, and rivers with instruments Sarah couldn't begin to understand. Their findings had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy that were still reverberating. Earth's water resources weren't just abundant, they were effectively infinite by galactic standards. The planet contained more pure, accessible H2O than every other known world combined. More importantly, Earth's water was naturally replenished through a hydrological cycle that the alien scientists found almost magical in its efficiency. Chairman Vorthak's attitude toward Sarah had transformed completely. The massive insectoid being now spoke to her with the respect reserved for heads of state, rather than representatives of candidate species. Ambassador Chen, the chairman said, using her new title, the council has reached several decisions regarding humanity's status within our community. Sarah had been granted the title of ambassador to the Galactic Council 3 days earlier, making her the first human to hold an official position in galactic government. Earth hadn't just been accepted for membership, they had been offered a permanent seat on the council itself. First, the chairman continued, humanity is granted full membership in the Galactic Council with immediate effect. Second, Earth is designated a protected world under the Galactic Security Accords. Third, the Sol system is declared a neutral zone under Council protection. The announcements were formalities at this point. The real negotiations had been happening non-stop since the verification results came in. Every major species wanted to establish trade relationships with Earth, but Sarah had been careful to ensure that any agreements protected both Earth's environment and humanity's interests. However, the chairman added, these protections come with responsibilities. The Council recognizes Earth's water resources as critical infrastructure for galactic stability. How does humanity propose to manage this responsibility? Sarah stood and activated the holographic display she had prepared. Instead of showing Earth's military capabilities or technological achievements, her presentation focused on something entirely different: sustainability and stewardship. Earth's governments have spent the last 3 weeks developing what we call the Terran Water Accords, she began. These agreements outline how we plan to share our water resources while protecting our planet's ecosystem. The first part of her presentation showed Earth's water distribution system. Massive orbital platforms were already under construction, designed with alien technology but built by human workers. These stations would process and distribute water to species throughout the galaxy without requiring ships to enter Earth's atmosphere. We propose a quota system based on need rather than payment, Sarah explained. Species facing immediate hydration crises will receive priority access. Long-term distribution will be managed through the Council to ensure fair allocation. The Depth Seeker representative responded immediately. Our species requires urgent water access. Our synthetic substitutes are failing, and we have perhaps 2 years before biological collapse. The Depth Seekers are first on our priority list, Sarah confirmed. Emergency water shipments are already being prepared. We estimate we can provide enough water to sustain your entire population indefinitely. The relief that emanated from the aquatic being's environment suit was visible to everyone in the chamber. Similar reactions came from other species as Sarah outlined humanity's plans to address each civilization's specific needs. The Vexhai Empire would receive water for their crystal growth processes. The Synthetic Collective would get supplies to maintain their biological research facilities. Even the energy-based Luminar beings requested water for scientific studies into rematerialization possibilities. But this generosity comes with conditions, Sarah continued. Earth will not provide water for military conquest or environmental destruction. All recipients must agree to peaceful use protocols and regular monitoring. Commander Thexvor of the Keith Mori war clans leaned forward. What of compensation? Surely humanity expects payment for such valuable resources. Sarah smiled. Earth is interested in knowledge and technology exchange rather than traditional payment. We're particularly interested in medical advances, space travel improvements, and environmental protection techniques. The negotiations that followed established the framework for humanity's new role in galactic civilization. Instead of being the weakest member seeking protection, Earth had become the galaxy's most critical partner. Species that had fought wars for millennia over water access were now cooperating to ensure the protection of Earth's hydrological systems. The technological exchanges began immediately. The synthetic collective shared advanced medical technology that could extend human lifespans by centuries. The Vexhi provided crystal-based computers that revolutionized Earth's information systems. The psionics offered mental enhancement techniques that would help humans develop telepathic abilities. But perhaps the most important change was philosophical. The Galactic Council, which had been focused on military power and technological supremacy for thousands of years, began shifting toward cooperation and resource management. Earth's example of abundance and sharing was influencing the entire galaxy. "There is one more matter to discuss," Chairman Vorthak announced as the formal negotiations concluded. "The Council wishes to offer Captain Chen a permanent position as Director of Resource Management for the galaxy." Sarah had been expecting this offer, but hearing it officially still took her breath away. The position would make her one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, responsible for managing not just water distribution, but all critical resources for 12 major civilizations. "I'm honored by the offer," Sarah replied, "but I have one condition. Earth must retain sovereign control over its water resources. Humanity will share freely, but we will not surrender ownership." The council members exchanged communications for several minutes before the chairman responded, "Agreed. Earth's sovereignty is absolute. The director position would be advisory, with Earth maintaining final authority over all resource decisions." Sarah accepted the position, knowing that she was taking on a responsibility that would affect billions of beings across the galaxy. But she also knew that humanity had proven itself capable of handling such responsibility. As the formal session ended, and the various alien delegations began departing for their homeworlds, Sarah found herself alone with Zektar. The crystal being's light patterns were warm and grateful. "You have changed everything," Zektar said. "Not just for the Council, but for the entire galaxy. Water wars that have raged for millennia are ending. Species that faced extinction now have hope." "It's strange," Sarah replied, looking out at the stars through the chamber's viewing ports. "We came here hoping to prove that humanity deserved a place among the stars. We never imagined that we already held the key to galactic peace." "Perhaps that is what made it possible," Zektar suggested. "Your species offers abundance without seeking dominance. You share freely what others would hoard. This perspective may be humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization." 6 months later, Sarah stood on the observation deck of the completed Earth orbital station, watching as ships from dozens of different species arrived to collect their water allocations. The station was massive, visible from Earth's surface as a bright star that never set. Below her, Earth continued its ancient cycles. Rain fell on forests and oceans, rivers flowed to the sea, and the water cycle that had sustained life for billions of years continued unchanged. But now that same cycle was sustaining life throughout the galaxy. Her communicator buzzed with reports from across known space. The Depth Seekers had established their first new colony in 3,000 years. The Vexhi Empire was experiencing a technological renaissance fueled by unlimited access to pure water. Former enemies were cooperating on massive terraforming projects that would create new water-bearing worlds. But perhaps the most important change was happening on Earth itself. Humanity's new role in galactic civilization had unified the planet's nations like nothing before. Working together to manage the galaxy's most precious resource had shown humans what they could accomplish when they focused on cooperation instead of competition. The stars no longer seemed distant and unreachable. Ships arrived daily from across the galaxy, bringing knowledge, technology, and friendship. Earth had become the center of a new kind of galactic civilization, one based on abundance rather than scarcity, cooperation rather than conquest. Sarah raised her glass of Earth water in a silent toast to the future. Humanity had finally found its place among the stars, not as conquerors or supplicants, but as caretakers of the galaxy's most precious gift. The water that had once seemed so common was now recognized as the foundation of galactic peace.